ואחר כך צדקתך כארי אל. אך מנהגנו כמנהג האריזה, לומר צדקתך כארי אל. וצדקתך אליהם, ולבסוף צדקתך צדק. So what's going on here? Our custom is to recite the 3 verses of tzidkatecha in the order in which they appear in the Tehillim, naturally, in the Psalms. This is a custom of Arizal, and Ashkenazic Jews recite them in reverse order. Now, halacha yud aleph, friends, what's going on here? Im chal Shabbat biyom, shalav ayah, cho lo ayu omrim bo b'mincha nefilat apayim. Ein omrim tzidkatecha tzedek. Im yesh chatan o avi, הבן או סנדק בבית כנסת, אומרים צדקתך, שרק אם עצם היום אין בו תחנונים, אין אומרים בו צדקתך צדק. ויש חולקים ואומרים שגם אם יש חתן או אבי הבן בבית הכנסת, אין אומרים בו צדקתך צדק, ואין לעשות מזה מחלוקת. Okay, so friends, what's going on over here? When the date of Shabbat is one on which the Tachanun prayers would not be recited had it had been a weekday, we do not recite the 3 verses of Tzidkatecha, naturally, over here, on that Shabbat. However, the presence of a newly wed groom, Sheva Brachot naturally, or the father of a baby who had just been circumcised that specific day, or the person that was honored as a sandek for the baby is not a reason to omit these verses, although on weekdays their presence would be cause for the congregation to omit the Tachanun prayers. However, there are other poskim, other authorities ruled that we should omit the verses of Tzidkatecha when one of these people is present over here. The issue is not important enough to warrant starting a machloket inside the congregation. So no one wants, because of this issue of saying Tzidkatecha or not, also not to do a machloket, but this is a code of conduct we should follow. Okay, halacha 12 at the moment, Yud Bet naturally. So friends, what's going on over here in Yud Bet? We're talking about Odeh Hashem b'kol lev. Okay, what's going on? אחר קדיש תתקבל, אומרים מזמור, הללויה אודה את השם בכל לבב. וטעם למירת מזמור זה, יש אומרים, שהוא במקום ההפטרה, שנהגו לומר בזמנים קדומים, במנחה, של שבת מתוך הכתובים. וכאשר בטלה אמירת ההפטרה, התקינו לומר מזמור זה שבכתובים. ויש אומרים שמזמור זה בא במקום שיר של יום, שהיו הלוויים אומרים על הדוכן, בקורבן מנחת של השבת. Okay, so friends, what's going on over here? In this halacha number 12, if you're just joining in. After the Chazan, the Shliach Tzibur, he's going to recite the Kaddish of Titkabel, the longer one. And the Kehila itself will recite the chapter of 111, what is that? Of Tehillim. Some authorities claim that the reason for reciting this chapter is that we at one time used to read a Haftarah after the Torah reading of the Mincha of Shabbat. Since we no longer have that practice, we replace it with the reciting of a passage from the Ketuvim, naturally, the holy writings. Others suggest that we read this passage in commemoration of the song that the Levi'im would sing in the Bet HaMikdash at the time of the sacrifice of the afternoon, Korban Tamid, over there. Halacha Yud Gimel 13. מי שלא יתפלל מנחה בשבת, נזכר בסוף הזמן, ולפניו 2 מניינים, באחד הוא יכול לשמוע קריאת התורה, אבל לא להתפלל שם, ובשני תפילת הציבור, עדיף שישמע קריאת התורה ויתפלל ביחידות, וישתדל לכוון היטב בתפילתו. Okay, so what's going on here, friends, over here? If someone is busy with some emergency, and he can get away to go to the synagogue for only, let's say, 10 minutes inside the afternoon, he's got that window of time, he should go to listen to the Torah reading in the synagogue, even though he will then be forced to say the Mincha, the Shemona Esrei, alone without any minyan. So that's maybe a bit of chiddush to some people. That will take precedence. Even though he will then be forced to recite the Mincha Tefillah along with any minyan. Joining the Kehillah for the Torah reading is more important than joining them for the Shemona Esrei, for the Amidah over here. Very, very interesting. Since he is reciting the Amidah without a minyan, however, he should redouble his efforts to concentrate on the meanings of the prayer. It just shows that if one's praying inside a minyan, the kavanah, the intention they're going to have inside the tefillot, naturally is going to be greater also. That's another added benefit when why we should be joining the minyan. Okay, so Yud Daled. אסור לשתות מים בין מנחה למעריב בשבת. So you can't, over here, according to this, if you're not allowed to drink water between the mincha and the arvit tefillot of Shabbat. שאז חוזרות הנשמות לגיהנום. וכל זה הוא דווקא במים שבנהרות, אבל שבית מותר. וכל שאין שעה משקים שמותר. Okay, so friends, it's saying over here that naturally they're saying it's forbidden to drink water between the Shabbat Mincha and Arbit prayer on Shabbat. However, over here, they do stress, so we can calm down a bit. Why is this, first of all? Because that the Arbit prayer after Shabbat, okay, why is it? Because that is a time that the souls are returned to their punishments, God forbid, in Gehenna, if they're going to that place. The restriction applies only to water in rivers, but not to water in one's home. And we also must state that other waters over here, other beverages are certainly permitted. This is someone... Okay. We're doing a live YouTube video at the moment here on Yalkut Yosef. So now we're going to continue in Siman 293. And we're talking about the dinim of the Arbit prayer of Saturday evening, Motzei Shabbat. What do we do, friends, on the Motzei Shabbat itself? Okay, wow, it's a very, very good weather. I'll just sit back, actually, just get to a good position. I will continue. Okay, halacha aleph. ראוי ונכון לאחר מעט את תפילת ערבית של מוצאי שבת כדי להוסיף מחול על הקודש ואפילו במקומות שנוהגים להתפלל ערבית בימות החול מבעוד יום במוצאי שבת ראוי לאחר תפילה ערבית אך אין צריך להמתין להתפלל ערבית עד שהגיע זמן רבינו תם. It's proper to delay the Arbit tefillah somewhat on Saturday evening, thereby adding some time to one's Shabbat day. Over here. Even those communities that recite Arbit on the weekdays before sunset should delay it on Saturday evening. It is not necessary to wait until after it's dusk, let's say, according to the opinion of the Rabbeinu Tam, which is naturally 72 seasonal minutes after sunset. Even those who refrain from performing melacha after the dusk, according to the opinion of the Rabbeinu Tam, may recite the Arbit tefillah after the commonly accepted time for dusk, naturally 13 and a half seasonal minutes after sunset. Okay, so friends, we are now in Halacha Bet. המנהג לומר מזמורים קודם תפילת ערבית, וכגון מזמור לדוד ברוך השם צורי, ועוד, מותר לומר מזמורים, אלא אף לחץ את כוכבים, ואין זה כל חשש, אף שאין לקרוא תהילים בלילה קודם חצות. מוצאי שבת וברבים, אין לחוש. Okay, so friends, what's going on? The custom is to recite chapters of Tehillim as a preface to the Arbit Tefillah, most commonly the chapter of 144, among others. It is allowed to recite them even if it is well after dusk at that point in time, which we've talked about before. Even though it's normally improper to recite Tehillim during the first half of the night, there is no problem doing so together with the congregation on Saturday evening. This custom is well founded by great Torah scholars over here. Now we can add over here, this is what the second edition says. So let's continue. שעה שאין לקרוא תהילים בלילה קודם חצות, במוצאי שבת וברבים אין לחוש. ומנהג זה יסודותו בהרי קודש, ולכן אין צריך לבטלו. ופרט שיש מנהג שלא לקבוע לימוד תורה באותו שעה, שהוא זמן פטירת משה רבינו, וחיישינן פן יבואו לידי שיחה בטלה ובבית הכנסת. מכל מקום, בוודאי שאין איסור לקבוע לימוד בשעה זו. ולכן אין לבטל המנהג לומר מזמורים בעת זו. Okay, so friends, what's going on here? Over here. This custom is well founded by the great Torah scholars as before. Furthermore, many communities refrain from holding classes in Torah at that time, since it is when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. So the reciting of Tehillim serves the purpose of occupying the congregation so that they are not tempted to engage in idle gossip while waiting for Arbit to begin. Therefore, there is no basis to do with this custom. For the record, although some had the custom not to hold Torah classes at that time, there is no halachic basis over here to forbid it. Over here, so there's not. So halacha gimel now. Mishu anus יכול להתפלל של מוצאי שבת מפלג המנחה ולמעלה ולהבדיל מיד. Okay. אבל לא יברך על הנר ועל הבשמים, וכן אסור בעשיית מלאכה עד צאת הכוכבים. over here. Okay. עד צאת הכוכבים. ולכתחילה אין ראוי לעשות כן, ורק מי שנפטר לו, אחד מקרוביו בשבת, ינהג כאומה, ויתפלל ערבית של מוצאי שבת, ויבדיל מבעוד ים. ואם לא יבדיל קודם צאת השבת, אינו יכול להבדיל במוצאי שבת, כל זמן שהדין לא נקבר המת. ולכן, אם המת נקבר במוצאי שבת, יבדיל אחר הקבורה. Okay, so friends, what's going on here? Halacha Gimel at the moment, in Siman 293. In the case of an emergency, one may recite Arvit on Motzei Shabbat, Saturday evening, even before sunset over here, anytime after Pelag Hamincha. That will be the window of time. And one may recite Havdalah before sunset as well, according to this. We're talking about an emergency situation here. If one recites Havdalah before Shabbat actually ends, however, one may not recite the bracha over a fragrance or the blessing for the light. So you can't do on there and you can't do on those things. Naturally, one must invariably wait until after dusk in order to perform any act of malacha. So you've got to wait till after Shabbat in these situations to do malacha. Unless, however, it's an emergency, one may not recite Arvit and Havdalah before dusk on Saturday evening. If someone's immediate relative has passed away on Shabbat, he should then take advantage of the halacha to recite Arvit and Havdalah before dusk, to daven it early. For after dusk, he may no longer recite Havdalah until after the funeral over here, according to yes. If the funeral takes place on Saturday night, he can recite Havdalah after the funeral at that point in time. So I would recommend everyone to double check all these halachot. Over here, just answering a live question thing. We're learning the Sefer of the Yalkut Yosef, as I've written inside the title over here. It's a Saka edition over here, so if you're still live on, this is a book that we've got. I recommend everyone to buy it. So this is a YouTube live, it's being recorded on. Okay, so we are now in Siman 293, Halacha 4 over here, Dalet. Tzarik lizaheh ma'od mlasot melacha ad lachat tzet hashavat. Lizaheh shelo yaseh melacha ad shitzeh hasafik milibo. Shekava egia zman tzet hakochavim. Okay, one wants to be very careful not to perform any act of malacha until Shabbat is over. That is until one is certain that the time of dusk has arrived. Over here. Halacha hey. When does Shabbat end? What time does it end at? Come on, tell us. Zman tzet Shabbat b'kol arei haaretz hu ba'erech כ-20 דקות אחר השקיעה. והמחמירים מוסיפים מחול על הקודש עד כחצי שעה אחר השקיעה. וזמני צאת השבת המתפרסמים בלוחות רבים. אין להם כל יסוד בהלכה, שאינם לא לפי שיטת הגאונים. של דד מרן הוא י"ג דקות וחצי בשעות זמניות. ולדעת האמורים, שהמיל הוא כ"ד דקות, זמן צאת הכוכבים הוא י"ח דקות אחר השקיעה בשעות זמניות. ולא לפי שיטת רבנו תם, שסובר שזמן צאת הכוכבים הוא 72 דקות אחר השקיעה בשעת זמניות. Okay, so friends, what's going on here? Halacha hey. In the land of Israel, dusk is approximately 20 minutes after sunset. That's the threshold of time. In order to fulfill the mitzvah of adding time to the Shabbat day, many people will wait until half an hour after sunset. The various times are printed naturally in the different calendars that there are. At the end of Shabbat, only suggestions these times are, and they're not based on any halachic principle over here. Those times are not dusk, neither according to the opinion of the Gaonim, 13 and a half seasonal minutes after sunset, according to those poskim who ruled that the period called mil is 18 minutes long, 18 minutes after sunset, according to those poskim who ruled that a mil is 24 minutes long over here. Nor according to the opinion of Rabbi Tam, which is naturally 72 seasonal minutes after sunset. So we are now in Halacha Vav over here. We're talking about dusk according to Rabbi Tam. Halacha Vav at the moment. Okay, let's go for it. Ulam ra'ui v'nachon shekol yir'eh shemayim v'charad ledabar Hashem yachmi al atzmo shelo lasot melacha ad shiavo shi'ur 72 דקות בשעות זמניות אחר השקיעה שלנו כדעת רבנו תם ודאימיה. Okay, so friends, what's going on over here? Over here. Okay. Nevertheless, it's highly recommended for anyone who's truly God-fearing to refrain from performing acts of malacha 72 seasonal minutes after sunset, which naturally is dusk, according to Rabbeinu Tam and many other great poskim. That will be the threshold of time over there. אחר השקיעה שלנו כדעת רבנו תם ומצווה רבה לפרסם דבר זה ללומדים ויודעי לספר המחזיקים בתורת השם ואף על פי שקבע פרשת המנהג בכל המקומות להקל בזה כדעת הגאונים הסוברים שאחר י"ג דקות וחצי בשעות זמניות משקיעה הנראית הוא קבע לילה מכל מקום טוב ונכון להחמיא בזה מאחר שכן דעת רבים מאוד מהפוסקים הסוברים כדעת רבנו תם ועל צבאה מרן השולחן ערוך שקיבלנו ההוראותיו והוא ספק איסור סקילה, וכל המחמירים בזה, במוצאי שבת ויום טוב, יישאו ברכה מאת השם, וכן יש להיזהר, וכל זה גם בתענית, ובמוצאי יום הכיפורים, דהווה מאורייתא. אוקיי. ומצווה רבה לפרסם דבר זה ללומדים ויודעי ספר המחזיקים בתורה השם, ואף על פי שקבע פרשת המנהג, וכל המקומות להקל בזה כדת הגאונים הסוברים שחי י"ג דקות וחצי בשעת זמניות. משקיעה הנראית וקבע לילה. מכל מקום טוב ונכון להחמיא בזה. מאחר שכן דעת רבים מאוד מהפוסקים הסוברים כדעת רבנו תם. ועל צבאה מרן השולחן ערוך שקבענו הורתיו. והוא ספק יישאו סקילה, וכל המחמירים בזה במוצאי שבת ויום טוב יישאו ברכה מאת השם. וכן יש להיזהר בכל זה גם בתענית במוצאי יום כיפורים. דאבי מדורייתא. Okay, so what's going on here, friends? Even though the custom throughout the land of Israel is to follow the opinion of the Gaonim that dusk is 13.5 seasonal minutes after sunset, it's better to follow the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam, since a great many poskim ruled like Rabbeinu Tam regarding this issue, and foremost, most among them is a Shulchan Aruch. Why is that? Because his rulings over here have been accepted on ourselves as binding. In particular, we should bear in mind that performing an act of malacha at a time which may be Shabbat means risking transgressing a sin which is punishable by skila, the harshest form of capital punishment in Judaism. All those who keep this stringency concerning the time that Shabbat and Yom Tov end will receive a special blessing from heaven. It is important to follow the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam concerning dusk on the evening after Yom Kippur as well, and avoid breaking the fast until then, since that involves a serious Torah prohibition as well. Zayin, over here, regarding Brit Milah. Ulam, kol ze davka li'inyan b'motzei Shabbat v'yom HaKippurim. אבל לעניין מניין יום השמיני למילה. העיקר הוא כשיטת הגאונים, שבין השמשות הוא סמוך לשקיעת החמה, ולכן תינוק שנולד ביום שישי, כ-20 דקות אחר השקיעה, שאז נחשב ללילה ודאי. בימי ניסן ותשרי, שהיום והלילה שיום. מלין אותו בשבת, וכן המנהג, אבל תינוק שנולד בבין השמשות של ערב שבת, אין מילתו דוחה את השבת, ואפילו אם הוא בספק. שמא נולד בבין השמשות, שמא נולד כשהיה לילה ודאי. אין מלין אותו בשבת, אלא ביום ראשון שחר השבוע. שבוע שמחות, okay. So what's it saying here in Halacha Zayin over here? The above discussion applies to computing nightfall regarding when Shabbat or Yom Tov ends, however. When computing nightfall regarding the birth of a child, however, we must follow the opinion of the Gaonim that it is 20 minutes after sunset over here. Therefore, if a baby is born on Friday evening, 20 minutes after sunset, he was born after dusk and therefore was definitely born on Shabbat itself. We will follow that parameters. Accordingly, his 8th day of life is the following Shabbat, and his circumcision is to take place on the following Shabbat day. This is the common practice. However, if a baby is born within this specific window of time Ben Hashmashot of Friday evening, we remain in doubt whether the moment of his birth was during the day, in which case he should be circumcised the following Friday, or whether that moment was during the night and he should be circumcised on the following Shabbat. Because of this doubt, we may not circumcise him on the following Friday or on the following Shabbat. Wow, this may be a chiddush to some people. We must postpone his circumcision until the following Sunday over here. This could be a huge chiddush to many people. Okay, so now we are in Halacha Chet over here. Number 8. באיסור שבות דרבנן, אין צריך להחמיר שלא לעשותם קודם שהגיע הזמן רבנו תם, שרק מלאכות האסורות מן התורה, ראוי להחמיר ולהמתין לזמן רבנו תם. ואמנם לכתחילה, יש לשמוע זמן רבנו תם לכל מילי, ורק מקום צורך יש להקל. Okay. It's not necessary to keep the stringency of waiting until dusk, according to Rabbeinu Tam, except regarding acts of malacha that are prohibited by the Torah on Shabbat. It is unnecessary to refrain from performing acts of malacha that are only rabbinically prescribed on Shabbat after the arrival of dusk, according to the opinion of the Gaonim. One should rely on this leniency only when one has great need to do so over here. באמנן לכתחילה, יש לשמוע זמן רבנו תם לכל מילי, ורק במקום צורך יש להקל, ולכן מותר לנסוע ברכב במוצאי שבת, קודם שהגיע זמן רבנו תם. כשנוהג ברכת אינו מקפיד לשמוע על זמן רבנו תם, ונכון שלא יפתח את דלת המכונית, כשרי על ידי פתיחתו נדלקות נורה חשמלית, ולכן אינו גמרא. אוקיי. אך הדין יש לצד בזה, אחר שאינו מכוון ולא אכפת לי, ועיקר מאוד אמת דשרי, וראה, אוקיי. So what's going on here, friends? It's not necessary to keep the stringency of waiting until dusk, according to Rabbeinu Tam, except regarding acts of malacha that are prohibited by the Torah on Shabbat, as we said before. It is unnecessary to refrain from performing acts of malacha unnecessary to refrain from performing acts of malacha that are only rabbinically prescribed on Shabbat after the arrival of dusk, according to the opinion of the Gaonim. One should rely on this leniency only when one has great need to do so. Therefore, if one must travel urgently on Saturday evening, one must travel once it is dusk, according to the Gaonim. That's the point, the opinion. In a vehicle driven by someone who does not observe the stringency of Rabbeinu Tam, one may not open the door of the car during this time, however, since that causes inside light to go on and that it is forbidden by the Torah on Shabbat. Okay, it adds on parenthesis, as said before in Hebrew, that one can argue that opening the car door is only prohibited by sages and anyone may open it. That would not be so in every case, however, over here. They add over here. Okay, so friends, we are now in Halacha Tet over here. Now we're talking about leniencies in Rabbeinu Tam time. If people are following that at the moment, let me just see the live chat at a moment. Okay, let's go for it. Halacha Tet. Mi shnag b'motzei Shabbat k'Rabbeinu Tam. ורוצה להקל ולעשות מלאכה אחרי השעה מהשקיעה. שהוא בתוך י"ג דקות וחצי, בשעות זמניות, שלפני צאת כוכבים, של זמן רבנו תם. יש לו על מה לסמוך להקל, כיוון שיש בספק ספיקה. שמא הלכה כדעת הגאונים, ואף אם תמצא לומר שלכה כרבנו תם, שמא בין השמשות לילה הוא, וקבע יצא שבת, ושמא אין צריך לחשוב בשעות זמניות. As someone who wishes to basically keep the stringency of Rabbeinu Tam, but wishes to wait only until one seasonal hour after sunset, bringing him to within the last 13 seasonal minutes of dusk. According to Rabbeinu Tam, as a halachic basis for this leniency, since he can rely upon a compound doubt. Safek Sveka, naturally we call that a doubt within doubt over here. One doubt is that perhaps the correct halacha is according to the opinion of the Gaonim. The second doubt is that even if the halacha is like the Rabbeinu Tam, the last 13 and a half minutes are ben shmashot, and maybe really be after dusk, even to Rabbeinu Tam. Over here. Let's continue. ואף אם תמצא לומר שלאחר כרבנו תם, שמא בין השמשות לילה הוא, וקבע יצא השבת, ושמא אין צריך לחשוב בשעת זמניות, אלא שנכון יוצא לחוש לגמרי, לספירת רבנו תם ודאמיה, להמתין עד שהגיע צאת הכוכבים של רבנו תם. It is more correct, however, to refrain from lacha until it is definitely dusk, according to the Rabbeinu Tam. Over here. Okay, halacha 10, over here. Yud. We are on, and we're going to continue. We're doing very, very well. Okay. We're talking now about seasonal hours, or standard hours, over here. Yesh omrim sheyesh lachshav, zman Rabbeinu Tam, lefi cheshbon sha'ot zmaniyot, ויש מקילים לחשב שהשעות לפי חשבון השעון שלנו, והעיקר לדינה שיש לחשב לפי שעות זמניות. אלא אם כן במקומות שאם ירדו לחשב לפי שעות זמניות, לא יוכלו להתעכב כל כך עד שהגיע זמן רבנו תם. ובפרט בארצות אירופה, שהלילה מתאחר, שאז יש להקל לחשב לפי השעון הרגיל. Okay, some poskim rule that we reckon the time schedule according to Rabbeinu Tam using 60-minute hours, so that in the summer it is necessary to wait no more than 72 minutes on the clock after sunset, because it could make a manaf mina. However, others rule that we always reckon the time using seasonal hours, and in the summer, seasonal hours are longer than 60 minutes each. In practice, one should follow the second opinion. In places where the people are likely to refuse to listen to the rabbi's instructions to wait so long, but they are more likely to agree to wait 72 minutes on the clock, one may instruct them accordingly. This is especially pertinent in northern latitudes, where dusk is particularly late in the summer. Over here. A sighting of 3 stars over here. Halacha Yud Aleph over here. אין לסמוך על ראיית ג' כוכבים קודם שהגיע הזמן לפי השעון שלנו. over here. So what's it saying here? אלא יש לנהוג על פי השעון כנזכר בסעיף הנראה לי. One may not rely on one's usual sighting of 3 stars in the sky to determine that Shabbat has ended. One must reckon the time on the clock according to the system we've got explained over here. Okay, halacha yud bet over here. Leniencies during ben hashmashot. Are there leniencies here? Let's see. Mash mikelim letzorech mitzvah b'davar shu asur mishum shvut ben hashmashot hu gam b'motzei Shabbat v'lo rak ben hashmashot she'erev Shabbat. We saw above in 261, it's explained that certain acts that are forbidden by our sages on Shabbat are permitted during the period of twilight when one performs them for the sake of the mitzvah. Those acts are permitted during the twilight period of Saturday evening, just as they are permitted on the Friday evening over here. Halacha Yud Gimel, requesting others to do melacha after dusk. מי שמתאחר מתפלל ערבית במוצאי שבת, מותר לו לומר לחברו ישראל שקבע יתפלל או הבדיל, לעשות לו מלאכה במוצאי שבת, כגון להדליק בשבילו את החשמל, וכיוצא בזה, ומותר ליהנות מכל מלאכה שיעשו עבורו אחרים. Once it is after dusk on Saturday evening, even if someone has not yet recited Arvit or Havdalah, he may ask someone else who has recited Arvit or Havdalah to perform an act of malacha for him, such as turning on the electric lights. He may also receive benefit from acts of malacha that others perform for him. Now, halacha Yud Daled. מי ששומע זמן רבנו תם רשאי לומר לחברו שאין מקפיד על זה, לעשות לו מלאכה, אף מלאכה אסורה בשבת מן התורה. After the time of dusk, according to the opinion of the Gaonim, someone who wishes to refrain from the acts of malacha until it is dusk, according to Rabbi Tam, may nevertheless ask another person who does not keep this stringency to perform an act of malacha for him. This is so even regarding acts of malacha that the Torah prohibits on Shabbat. So friends, I think we're going to leave it over here and see how we're doing in general. We just check how many people are live. Let's just check the comments in the meantime. Over here, yeah, I think we're going to continue at another stage. Have a great day and take care.